Let's have a conversation about insecure women in the workplace. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling men and women who have been victims of abuse or perpetrators of abuse and violent crimes. I wanted to do a series on insecure women. I'm going to start out with insecure women in the workplace, and I do have a handy dandy list of things that I wanted to talk about. So you guys just hang on to your seats. It kind of helps me so I don't stumble as much, because sometimes I flub my words. And so so as far as insecure women in the workplace and entrepreneurship, I'll put that out there as well. One of the things that I've encountered in professional settings, especially like networking events or parties or something like that, where it's a professional setting, is like women who think that you want their man. And so if like there's like an event for psychologists or something like that, or like holiday party, things like that, and other people that you may work with or know you or want to know you or want to collab on a project, all of a sudden here comes their wife and they're like getting in your face because they think you want their man. Nobody wants him but you, hon. But they don't have a problem with sort of embarrassing themselves and their partner. It's something that's clearly a professional setting where nothing inappropriate is happening at all, but it's just like they want to be aggressive and make their stance and claim their territory, that kind of stuff. But also, in entrepreneurship, this is something I encountered a lot, especially unfortunately among Black women entrepreneurs and business owners, because it's unfortunate they, again, there's that crabs in a bucket mentality. So they feel like, I'm going to bite your hand. There's only room for one at the top and it can't be you. So Black woman, move, that kind of stuff. So one of the things that I've noticed is they don't share resources, or they give you bogus resources and referrals. So they give you like worst of the worst referrals, or things that they know isn't really going to pan out for you, or things that, things that aren't good for business, or, they don't want you to know anything. So they're not going to share. So they could drag their feet. They could say, oh, I don't know, and lie and things like that. But bottom line is they don't want you to know. In the workplace, though, one of the things that I've noticed among insecure women is they do not like it when you get any sort of attention or compliments. That you could kind of see their face and their demeanor change, and there's like this hostility. There's like this sort of stonewalling, the silence where they don't speak to you. So it becomes passive aggressive, or they do things to deliberately try to sabotage your work. They make it their mission to destroy you, right? So if someone like compliments your work and says, oh, Dr. Jones did a great job on that report. If it's a manager, what I've encountered is, you're a trash, your reports are trash, you need to do this kind of thing. On the opposite end, even though they're telling you that, at the end of the day, if they know you're really good, what they will do, these same insecure women, is they will call you in to, save their job. And so what they want you to do is they want to use your work to save their job. They want you to kind of be the one who, does the reports, does the presentations, and they want to take credit for it. But they, that's kind of the thing. It's like you're good when they want you, but the rest of the time you're trash, you're the scum on the bottom of their shoe type of thing. One of the other things that I've noticed, especially working in a male dominated workspace, and I've worked in a few of these, one of the things that I've seen is women who are overly sexual. And it's kind of like they're one of the guys, they think they're one of the guys. And so they're in there, they're sharing, inappropriate things loudly, by the way. So it's not like it's a secret or, they have a few, no, it's loud because they want to be the center of attention. So you can hear it all the way down the hallway. They're sharing details about their sex life, and I'm not talking about like warm, pillow soft, we made love, not that kind of, I'm talking about gross, gritty details, right? And so, because they want these men to want them, they want to be cool, they want to be, they want guys to consider them. They're also overly flirtatious. And so that flirtatious, there's really not a bar for that. And so there's women that will kind of sleep around, will sleep their way through the top. And I know somebody's going to hate me for saying that, but it is what it is. And so there's women that kind of align themselves, and women can be married and do it. In fact, a lot of the ones I've seen doing this have been married, and so they can have full blown families. But if they want that promotion, if they want that CEO position, if they want what they want, they're going to get it by any means necessary, and they don't have no friends, and they don't care who they have to do to get where they need to be. And I'm not judging, I'm just telling you. One of the things too that I've noticed is especially with managers or CEO staff, they'll kind of monitor you, they'll monitor you outside of work. They'll monitor your social media. For someone like me, I've had a presence for quite a while. So, they'll monitor other collaborations and things that I've done. And they don't want you to do that. Well, you guys knew what I was doing way before I came in here. Well, you either, so they'll kind of pull some stuff you either do this or you do this job. If you do that project, you don't have a job, that kind of stuff. And so they'll try to pull rank on the job. And if you're good enough, you'll have to make a decision later because they want you to choose. And basically they're trying to stop you from becoming successful in other areas. And they're monitoring that. They'll threaten your job security, that kind of. These women are non-complimentary. They don't want to work together well. If it's management may not want to supervise you in a way that's helpful to you to do the best at your job because they could secretly be hoping that you fail, or they don't want you to outshine them. There could be micromanaging, so telling you every little thing to do, especially, if your job started out going well and you had a fair level of independence, then they'll come in when they feel oh, you're kind of getting too big for your britches. So now we're going to start looking, and I want everything to go through me. And I'm going to critique it 50,000 times before it gets anywhere. There's also ignoring you when you speak. So there's that, if you ask a question or you need to know some information, there can be that ignoring you when you speak, or even in the morning. I've seen it in the morning when I used to go into work. This was years ago, and I used to go into work, and I used to say, "Good morning, hi, good morning," and nope, they don't say anything back. All right, well, maybe not then, not good morning to you then. But it would be that, and then later in the day, all of a sudden, they can talk. It's miraculous. They're no longer mute anymore. They can talk. They have words. Dr. Jones, I'm like, wow, you can talk. What happened this morning at 8:00 when I saw you and you didn't say anything back? Whatever, so you kind of get used to that sort of, those types of interactions. They get angry or upset or offended, if you become successful or have notoriety, or if you get a promotion. It becomes, what's so special about her? Why did she get promoted? That kind of stuff. And so it just becomes this game of put downs and questioning authority, throwing papers around and, just sort of being very upset. But those are some examples of insecurity in the workplace and entrepreneurship. Again, it's not comprehensive, but it's a good place to start. Thanks so much for asking about this. I appreciate it.